Put me in there. Put me in the right box. Don't try to box me in. What's up, you guys? How's everybody doing? First, wow, an aggressive chase. I like it. Sit on it and rotate. I'm trying not to cuss in the first couple minutes of the show. Otherwise, I'd read the rest of the comment there. Hope everybody's doing well. Did Brad make that thumbnail? No, Brad doesn't make my thumbnails. I make all my own graphics. Part of the reason why I'm late all the time, you know? Last time I dug this song at the beginning. A light above my thing is out today. I don't know if that's makes it better looking or worse. I guess you guys could be the judge of that. What's up, Barry? How you doing? Yeah, Jason Bourne. Quickly becoming one of my favorite troll accounts. Heidi, can't go around telling everybody how you got that wrench, right? Seeing your comments in the last show. Criminy. Little palm action in there. What if I just sat on here for an hour, just made beats? Terrible, terrible beats. Okay, enough of that. Here we go. Actually, Brad sent me. Don't lie. Who's Mayor Matt? That is a great question. We got a bunch of fun topics. There is never a lack of drama in the space, but I'm hoping to bring a different perspective to some of this. Or maybe the same exact perspective. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Hey, what's up? Catching live finally. Awesome. Glad you're here. Robbie, sound effects are dumb. Thank you. That was amazing. Like which sound effects? All that makes me want to do now is press all the sound effects. There you go. Sound effects are dumb. It's like that kid in the elevator that just hits all the buttons. And you're like, damn it. Okay, Torres or O'Keefe? What's the difference? All right. Sorry, I forgot to sign the NDA. Yes, and now I'm going to sue you. My lawyers are diligently working. Robbie's got a good sense of humor. I like it. Good deal. Looks like a Christmas tree. Yeah, the Roadcaster really does. Oh man, I saw this right before I jumped on, and I wanted to share with you guys. View the story. Yes. Pause. Come on. Oh, that's a cute picture. Okay, there we go. Now I found the pause button. Getting right into it. Share a little screen here of the one and only Mr. Colton Mertens. Obviously, he's working at the on the farm here. Not sure what exactly is happening. Maybe some feed or something. But the caption reads, "Enjoy your contract while you've got it. World's Fitness Project." Damn. It's kind of like threatening while you've got it, chumps. Holy smokes. Souza always gives a scoop. Try. Greg is my lawyer. Yeah, yo también. Yeah, that's right. Go ahead, try to fuck me. I'll sue your ass. My dad will sue you. Except for it's not really my dad. It's just Greg. All right, so I was gonna ask you guys where you want to start, but we got our little list up here. So we'll start. We'll just come in hot. We're just gonna go right to Torres's post. Right to Torres's post, because I'm sure a lot of you guys all watch All Hiller stuff, right? And he did a pretty good breakdown yesterday of kind of the differences in the burpees. There was an issue where your chest is supposed to hit the ground. He was using Brooke as an example, and pretty much her chest didn't hit the ground. There's also the GHD debacle, where exactly the pad to butt ratio sits. And what I liked about that was the fact that if you've watched Jason Sprague do GHDs where that was not a standard, so at Crash or there were some other places, his butt is sitting like way on top of the pad, where his knees never really extend the whole time he's doing the movement. And it's like he's probably the worst offenders. But when the standard was your hips have to sit off the back of the pad, your butt has to sit off the back of the pad, and you watch his video, he held it exactly to standard. So all of that tells me, did I say Jason Sprague? Oh, man. Obviously, I'm thinking about Jason Bourne. James Sprague. Criminy. You guys know, though. He was able to adapt to that no problem. No problem. Same with Dallin Mertens. You guys can't make fun of my dyslexia. The community's so negative. And so he knows the difference. There's one where I sit with my hip up at the top. It might be easier for him to do that. It shortens the range of motion, clearly. And then there's sitting and riding that line a little bit, where I think like Medeiros was used as the example. And CrossFit, no, you're just retarded. No, they told me it was a diagnosable problem. Could be saved with pills or something. Jason Sprague is James's long lost twin. Oh my God, you guys crack me up. And so the point being is that when you have a standard and it's okay, here's where it is. This is what we need to do. I don't normally work out like that. It doesn't matter. You have to because this is the standard and we don't want any discrepancy in our videos. No problem. Check. Got it. Now the problem is athletes that don't have people that are telling them the truth, meaning, hey, when you did a few of those rehearsal reps and I was practicing judging you, your chest never hit the ground. Make that super obvious because these are going to be public. These are going to be posted publicly. Hey, from this camera angle, Justin, when I looked at your hips, it looks like it's riding the line. Let's make sure our butt sits all the way off that pad. And hey, I'm going to adjust the camera angle slightly so we could see it better because I'm your coach or your workout partner or your agent or whatever the fuck the title is. We're 6 minutes in, so I could swear. And if you do not have that person in your corner telling you, watching you, analyzing it as if they are the public opinion, as if they are Hiller, and then giving you the honest feedback, that is 110% your fault as the athlete. That is your fault as the coach. That is your fault as the manager or whatever, the bag holder, the protein filler upper, whatever your sphere is in the entourage around the athletes. You need to speak up. And as an athlete, you need to find those people and then don't bitch at them when they tell you what you don't want to hear. Because a lot of the personalities are being shown over this last year of how these athletes behave. And I imagine that if it's like sliding out through the cracks and you can kind of see and you're like, whoa, that person seems kind of entitled. Damn, they kind of seem like not a fun person to be around. Man, are they always that negative? Are they always that blaming everything else for their issues around them? If we're seeing that from the little bit of media that is being provided, you damn well know in their personal life that you can't tell them what to do because they're going to get negative and defensive and then they'll bite your head off. You could tell it. It's like one of those situations where you might be doing a business deal with somebody. And of course, we're going to relate everything to business. That's the only lens I see through. And you sit down at the dinner table and they treat the waiter or the waitress like shit right off the bat. They're just kind of condescending. They're not really paying attention. They're not really present. Okay, there's a little leak. I could see it happening. So eventually, when the honeymoon phase of this business deal or whatever is over, you're going to treat me the same exact way you treated that waiter. Because that's how you operate. That's how you behave. So now, Matt Torres' post. An open letter to the CrossFit athletes who competed in the online affiliate semifinals. This past weekend, you put it all on the line, your hopes, your dreams, months of relentless work, all condensed into 5 challenging workouts. And when it was over, the questions started to creep in. Was it enough? It wasn't. Should I have trained differently? You should have. You probably should have dialed in more. Did I execute the right strategy? Probably not, but okay. And am I good enough? Am I good enough? Criminy. Okay, slide. Next slide. Next slide, please. Just when you thought the hardest part was done, now comes the public scrutiny, the noise from those who buy your stuff that you promote so the brands pay you money. Oh, sorry, that wasn't in it. That was my ad lib. The noise from those who don't understand, the fans that become critics and also cheer when you win and swiftly turn on you for a cheap laugh or a moment of attention. So it's almost like they're not your friends, but just an audience to watch you perform. That's weird. I thought all of them were just my friends. CrossFit tried to create a system of, in quotations, public I don't know why it's in quotations. It's public, my guy. Judging that's supposed to be helpful, but instead it's become a playground for people behind keyboards and mics. Oh no, is that me behind a mic? Oh man, called out. Called out. The people behind the mics make this shit entertaining, dude. The people behind the mics keep the people entertained so they give a shit about the thrusters and your half GHDs and burpees. Those are the people behind the mics. The people that create the content. The people that let's see. Those people are quick to criticize with zero accountability and say that it's best for the sport. I'll tell you right now, and you guys heard me, I don't give a fuck about a sport. I could care less. This is not a sport. I cannot tell you. This is exercising. And it's fun for us nerds that really dig into exercising. But you think that my grandma is going to know Rich Froning's name? Not a chance in hell. It's also, too, because both my grandmas are dead. R.I.P. But here's the truth. You guys get so effortlessly judged, and you keep showing up. It's almost like you put everything online for people to view, and then you get judged by it. Oh, man. Isn't that crazy? When I put stuff online and I post my hospital bracelet, and then I take a picture with just my hand and my emergency room bracelet, and I say, I don't want to talk about it. It means I don't want to talk about it, guys. It means I don't want attention, okay? Don't ask me. Don't judge me for what I put online and posted for the worldwide to see. That is just, nothing just really grinds my gears. Thank you, Mason. Now, this is the type of support that is needed. 3 clapping emojis. 3. Make sure it's 3. That's the type of emotional support that I need from you judgmenting people out there. Okay, where am I? I got messed up. Keep showing up. You're taking the mental and emotional beating, and you still walk back into work to get better. Almost as like you're there on your own free will and signed up for it, right? Almost like that. Damn, these people are so brave. God, they're so brave, guys. You don't get to hide behind a screen or a microphone. You stand in the fire, exposed and real. And here's what I know. You don't owe those voices a single second of your energy. Lean on the people who are truly in your corner. Not truly in your corner, but nice people that tell you what you want to hear and make you feel good, so that way no one's feelings get hurt. If they were truly in your corner, they would have watched over it your couple of movements and been like, yeah, that ain't gonna cut it. That ain't gonna cut it. Let's redo this. Dude, look at this camera angle. You're gonna get scrutinized. You know it's coming. It's part of the rules to post your videos to the public. And the fact that you guys haven't analyzed over the camera angle, the reps, making sure that everything is tight and how it's supposed to be, is nobody's fault but your own, the athletes and the people around them. It's 110% your fault. There's nowhere else to say it. And the second you start to embrace that responsibility, you're free. You don't have to worry about it. And I don't know about you guys. This is something that I find kind of interesting. Always the same people with the weirdness in the reps, right? There's just some people, like if you go and watch one of Colton's videos or something like that, like best times in the world, nobody's saying shit about his reps. Nobody. And guess what? We're slowing it down into slow motion. We're pausing it. We're analyzing it. We're judging it. And it's still solid. Why? Because he's taken the responsibility to make sure it is that way. Don't rely on, well, nobody said anything, so I figured it was good enough. That's crazy. CrossFit, always something good to say. It was never Matt or Rich. And when Matt was criticized, he just redid the workouts better. 110%. It literally comes down to that exactly. And Adler was legit too. Uh, Right, Robbie? Yes. Yeah. Adler was moving like a champion. Yes, he was. Rich always moved like a champion. Matt, impeccable movement. And going back to James Sprague, Jason, God dang it, James Sprague, in watching him have done GHDs in competitions before with his hips up on top of the mat, reading the standard, adjusting where his hips were on the mat, having the correct camera angle, then doing it shows that he knows. And I guarantee you the relationship that him and Troy have together, if Troy were to watch one of those videos and see it, he would have stopped them and been like, hey, dude, no, this is going to cause issue. Like you will end up on a no rep video. Let's get this squared away. Like that is, and I don't know that Troy said that. I've just seen them together and I've spent time with those guys. And that's just the way that I've seen them operate before. I don't know that Troy said that, but I'm assuming it. And the thing that I just do not get is we're now, and Dave said a little bit. I didn't watch the Dave weekend review. I watched the Sevon weekend review of Dave's weekend review because like, who just wants to watch Dave, right? Am I right? Am I right? So when he started saying, oh, well, like, you know, you go on there and you're voting up or you're voting down, that should have nothing to do with that being a pass or a fail. That should only just capture attention for HQ. That's it. So if I go and I look at Brooke's video and it's the burpee one and it's got 100, you know, thumbs down versus 10 thumbs up, that should be my cue to be like, okay, let's go check out what the community's saying about this. What's happening here? Here's the deal. The public judgment of the elites movement in videos is the best thing that CrossFit HQ has done in the last 5 years. You understand? It's the best thing they've done. Now, why is that? Well, that's a great question, says this observer. It's because when CrossFit was first going, 2010, 2009, 2000, up until like the Wodifys and these gym software systems came out, you wrote your name up on the board, the coach did. They wrote your time, what you got, and they wrote whether you did it RX or whether you did it scaled. You were showing up and being held accountable for whatever you had that day. Good, bad, indifferent. It didn't matter. Your name was going on the board. And at the end of the class, it'd be like, hey, Jenny, what'd you get in your time? And she would say 9:30. And I would say, nice. Did you do it RX? And she would say, I started, but I had to drop the weight down to whatever because it got tough. Hey, great job. Jenny's not coming to me like, don't put that up there. And I wanted to go RX. So I was worried about how I was going to get scrutinized or judged. So I just kind of half-assed the reps. So that way it still says RX on the board, but nobody called me out on it. It just makes no sense. The integrity component of CrossFit is at the cornerstone of the methodology, says this man's opinion. Mason's, you know, when someone's coached for a while, you get the whole like, time. Motherfucker, look at your own time. Standy with a wrench. How'd that happen? How'd you end up with status? There are so many people like that in an affiliate. So many people. And that's the culture of the affiliate. Because if you like make your fastest people in the gym, you're all stars, and you talk about RX and like do it in a way that creates this competitive environment, you're going to get that as the culture where people are going to start cheating consciously or subconsciously, whatever, skeeting the line a little bit. So that way they could keep up with the group. So that way they could feel good about themselves and say, oh, I did RX. Oh, I kind of did RX. Oh, give it to me. It's like, no, do not fake success. That only does you harm in the long run. And dude, nobody knows how to lie to themselves and fake success than me in my first like year in business. Being like in all that debt and then looking down at my checking account, I was like, oh, you mean I got $8,000? Dude, we're good. We're good. I got $8,000 in here. And everybody else is kind of looking around like, he knows he's kind of fucked right now, right? Like, yeah, just let him go. Like, you don't want that. You would rather have, here's the reality of the situation. Here's where we are right now. Brett, you look great with that weight, but the second we got tired, it got a little out of hand. We need to drop it down 20 pounds so that way you could get that great range of motion. We're reinforcing good habits and you're still going to get the stimulus of the workout. It's still going to feel the same as it's supposed to. Right? That to me goes back to like the whole entire ethos of the methodology, and it's showing how far away the athletes have now traveled from what we do inside the gyms. They want to live in a different reality, a reality in which they work really hard, and then when it's time for them to be judged on that next stage, they don't want it in public scrutiny because they feel it becomes a popularity contest. Guess what? That's just another fact of life. I work really fucking hard too. And sometimes it doesn't work out for me. I've done a lot of different things. I got a lot of shit on my plate. I wear like 900 hats. Every sponsor you see come through this show, whether it's my show or somebody else's show, I fucking have to deal with that. I handle that. Every Kill Taylor sponsor, handle that. So every time this show goes from here to an audio platform, handle that. Those conversations, handle that. 2 live streams that are happening, handle that. So now imagine if I go back and start bitching. Oh, you guys don't get it. I don't want you to judge me. I do everything. It's like, dude, that's what the fuck you signed up for. That's what you wanted to do. And when it gets hard, because it's going to get hard, like, remind yourself of that. That's all it is. And trust me, dude, like, I will come into the gym sometimes and I've been better about being organized. I got like this whole, I'm like getting it down, you know what I mean? But at the same time, there's like avalanches of stuff that start to happen, and like it could feel really overwhelming. And it's so much easier just to start blaming. It's so much easier. But that's not gonna accomplish the mission that I set out for. That's not gonna help my team. And by the way, everybody else on that team is working just as fucking hard. So if I start feeling overwhelmed and I start bitching at them, they're gonna look at me like, dude, we're all doing our parts too. What do you want? We're all juggling stuff. Half of them got families and kids. Like, you know what I mean? So it's to put yourself in that like victim mentality and then start blaming other people. It's a mentality that I refuse to understand. It just doesn't get you anywhere. So first and foremost, dial in that you made that decision. You wanted to compete. You're going through this. Okay? Dial that in. Do everything you can in your power to make sure that it's going to be legit when you post it. Secondly, I love the free market piece on this. I love it. Absolutely love it. Not only because of the methodology stuff that we talked about before, but because literally, like, this is how I think everything should start to run. It should be ran on a free market of reviews, peer-based reviews versus off of people that either they enjoyed it or they didn't. Salespeople got replaced on Amazon.com by reviews. And you guys know this. If you go there and you see a product and it's got 10,000 5-star reviews and you start reading through, you might even go to the 1 or 2 1 reviews to start to read through that. You want all that public opinion so you can form the best decision for yourself from actual users that are doing the thing, that are using the product or the service. That is no different than what we're seeing here with these workouts. Hey, at my gym, when I did the open, half my scores, I got no rep the ton because I realized my chest never touched the ground. That really sucked. Random person that's doing the workout, held accountable to the standard, learned something, learned that they had to get better from that, and then moved on. But if that happens to a higher level athlete, same situation, and then they get the public scrutiny because clearly nobody at the gym is giving them that feedback. And then you get the public scrutiny. Now all of a sudden you're like, oh well, this sucks. This hurts. This doesn't feel good. Yeah, that's life. That's life. I don't know why I'm always drawn to whatever CrossFit says. John Young yelled at all of us and said his biceps are too big. Right, Brian? Zeke, what's up, dude? I feel like I could conquer the world after Souza shows. Oh, thanks. That's awesome. Mr. Brian Spin, I do believe that I probably need a wrench for your show. Souza's been learning how to suck himself off like Sevi. It's a skill. It's a skill. So I don't know. It's just that particular thing about the reps, the skeeting the reps, and then being upset because it's coming under public scrutiny. Like, get better people around you. Get better people around you. If everybody in there is going into this victim mindset and they're not looking at it and being like, oh shit, like we needed to tighten all these reps up. We should have looked at this better. This is my fault. Like, people should be taking blame and fixing it on their own within their own camps. This is not This is definitely not a CrossFit's issue. This is not because now it's public standard and it's a popularity contest. Like, no. Uh-uh, uh-uh. So deal or no deal? Deal. Okay. There you go. By Tyler Watkins himself. CrossFit will be sold next week. The deal is on. You heard it here first. No, here's the real with this. I think the deal is dead. I don't have any evidence to support this. Okay. This is just like literally like I'm pulling shit out of my ass right now. Okay. But based off of the little bits of speculation and information that I've heard from different things, it seems like if this deal with Malik and B Sport really had like some teeth to it, like was really going to come through, we would have already seen some more of that happening now. I'm getting the feeling that something fell through with that deal. Now, I've heard rumblings that there is a buyer that is actually just as close as Malik and Company, but I don't know who they are. And my source that I heard that from isn't very solid either. But with that being said, I'm just trying to keep you guys up to date with like literally the information that I'm getting, because in my opinion, the sell of CrossFit, I mean, you have these certain landmarks, like 2009, you had 1,000 affiliates, right? Like 2014, we really had this explosion of like the games for it. In 2018, we had the killing off of all of the media. 2020, the sell of CrossFit, like these big monumental things. Well, this next sell is going to be one of those. It is going to be monumental. And this is a great question. The Barbell Spin, who just awarded Matt Souza a wrench on his show. I don't even know why I want the wrench on your show. I'm only asking now because you said you didn't do it. Like, I literally don't. I don't care. So does this mean Rich? You like that? That was reverse psychology, guys. Don't tell Brian. So does that mean Rich is going to de-affiliate? That's a huge question, right? Because depending on if he was really bought in with like the Malik and Company and then they're out of the deal and somebody else comes in, I think it's going to depend more or less like what does that look like? Like what is like who does that look like, and does it jive with Rich or not? Because I'm telling you, if it's another situation where it's private equity, there's a lot of disgruntled affiliate owners, the Black Swan event is coming, brother. The Black Swan event. So that's where we're at with the deal. It's pretty much been silent. I don't, I heard it's those Return of the Mac. Great comeback story. Yeah, we can only hope, right? No one does. You still ain't getting one. I'll hack your channel, dude. I will spend thousands of dollars. I will take out loans. Okay, and then that's where we're gonna lead next, Jeremy Mason. WPF trajectory already. We're going to the WPF thing. Now I have a clip here. When does Trisha's show start? We tried to get her. She wasn't down. Now, dude, maybe it's Lauren Glassman in her prison hubby. Who are you? Who are you? Great question. Why did it fall through? Okay, my speculation was they were on different ends with numbers. That's what I think happened. I think if you really understand CrossFit and the shakeup of the sell of CrossFit when it changes hands again here, you're gonna have two different price valuation points. Those people that are in Berkshire that are like, oh, it's worth a ton, and then people who really actually know and they're like, it's not. You guys are overvaluing it, and on top of this overvaluation, when it changes hands and we buy it, we could lose 20% of all these affiliates. And then therefore that would dramatically reduce the price of it. So I imagine that it's somewhere there where they're like, hey, we want to buy it. Here's the price point we're at. Berkshire is going to want more, or maybe it's Mollison Company. Maybe it's the bank that's really holding this up. I've never dealt with anything like this, like an acquisition of this size. I've heard from stuff that I've listened to or read that like a lot of times once it goes to the lawyers, it gets really crazy. And that could kill deals pretty often. But again, I'm not really sure exactly where it is, but it's always going to come down to price ultimately. Because if Malik and them showed up with $1 billion and was like, hey, no due diligence, here's the check, it's sold right then and there. But if they come in with a low offer and then Berkshire drags its feet and then the due diligence portion doesn't really come out the way that Malik wants it to, it could, that's where the discrepancies come into play. And that's where what Berkshire thinks it's worth versus what they want to sell it to. I imagine it's sitting somewhere in between there. But who knows? Who knows? So this brings us to the next point. And I got this clip here, kind of talking about what we discussed briefly on last show. Yeah, shout out to Torres for making that post so I could example point here. Here it is. Okay, I got it. So this guy here has a podcast called Gym World. And I do believe John here is the CMO of Two Brain Business. Share that, switch that. And this is talking to a guy named Connor here who rebranded his gym as Ottawa's first Hyrox affiliate. So listen to this.
In terms of like a percentage of your revenue, how much of it comes from Hyrox?
At this point, I'd say at least 40%.
And so did you find like that was in addition to the revenue you're making before? So has this been just kind of like a big tailwind to your business, or has it like eaten into some of your CrossFit business?
It's the opposite. If anything, we've converted people from Hyrox into the CrossFit style training. So it's been a good like lead generator for us. So one of the reasons we rebranded was we were getting people coming in. My friend's been telling me for a while to come in, but like, I don't know about CrossFit, but they told me you guys aren't like an actual CrossFit gym. And at first I was like, I don't get what you mean by that. But then they threw out every cliche, stereotypical thing you hear about CrossFit on the internet. So at that point there, I was like, okay, well, we're guilty by association, because if you won't come in the door because of our name, it doesn't matter what service we supply. The moment we started advertising Hyrox, it was like people that live across the street that wouldn't come in because we said CrossFit are now coming in because we say Hyrox.
Okay, exactly and this was posted 4 days ago. So that is exactly the conversation that I had with Ernie. If you guys remember for last show, when Ernie was like, "Hey, we're gonna be a Hyrox affiliate and we're getting people in," and I said, "Yes, that's great because that's a lead magnet, right?" So Connor over here plays it perfectly. He knows that all he has to do is use that as a little bait trap to bring people in. Oh, it's not CrossFit, it's Hyrox, and here they come flocking. Right? Here's your meme, Grant. Here's your meme. And then they come in flocking. And then right when they're in the door, they realize, oh, shit, this is awesome. There's more to this. And we could learn to this. And we're digging into it. And then all of a sudden you let them know, like, hey, pull a little bait and switch. You're actually doing CrossFit now. Like, oh, this is what it is. And Connor said something very important when he was like, yeah, we had people that just like, because of all the same reasons as we know with CrossFit, like people don't come through the door. And from a media standpoint, I immediately find so much value in those conversations. So like if somebody comes in, it is like, hey, I don't want to do CrossFit because of reason X, right? Like HQ, that is gold for you to start making content around that, addressing those issues at scale. Like, and what I mean by at scale is if you make one post, you got to make 100 posts because people just don't see it. Like you think that because you've posted it 3 times that everybody's seen it, and like people do not see it. So you got to continuously beat the drum. And those objections or the reasons why people aren't seeming to come into the door is perfect to make media around. The second thing, CrossFit, you're right again. Yes, they used to. Where's Grant? You're going to get my attention. You say I'm going to make a big Souza meme. Big one coming. Please don't. Oh my goodness. So what we were talking about last time was like, okay, so how do I use Hyrox to my advantage as an affiliate owner? And Connor did it perfectly right there. And that conversation that him and John had were super important because it's very much the same thing Ernie and I were talking about, where it's like, okay, if he pays $2,000 a year, right? So I don't even know. They were just making that up for a Hyrox number. Ernie, if you know the number, drop it in the chat. But let's say it's $2,000 a year. So it's $170 or $167. Okay. So let's say that $167 a month, right? You could easily justify that on saying this is just an ad spend for me. The Hyrox affiliate is an ad spend for me. So is it 3,500, 350? So if you have that, if you have the capital for that and you're already investing into ads and you go, okay, cool, this is going to put me on some Hyrox map, like here's the traffic for it, or whatever the case may be, right? Like, so you just analyze it a little bit. And this is something that we'll do with CFL. So I'll let you guys know, but you analyze it a little bit, then you throw the thing up above your door and people start showing up and you just convert them to CrossFitters. It's great. And you guys have already heard me talk about this ad nauseum, but the fact that CrossFit didn't jump in right away when Hyrox was small and started offering to partner with them, offering to make media around it, it's a perfect synergy because Hyrox, sure, it could have an affiliate thing. That's fine. That doesn't matter. I view that very similar to like Metfix almost, or the WPF, which we're going to get into that in just a second here. But it's one of those situations where if it works to bring people in and you're getting that conversion right there, then there's no harm to it. And if CrossFit would have partnered up super early, like that could have just been another partnership that would have capitalized on keeping CrossFit the main training methodology to make you better at all those other things. And you could have easily pivoted towards that as the branding, as opposed to this sport direction. A while back, you guys told me that like if I signed up for the CrossFit affiliate like alerts or whatever on Instagram, it tells me when they're doing the town halls or it alerts certain things. Out of the last dozen that I've been sent, I got like 2 on like a coaches conference thing that's coming up, and the other 10 are all on freaking the games. Like, I don't give a shit. I got a business to run. Give me something worthwhile. The coaches conferencing is great because anytime you could have conversations around elevating coaches, you know, just exciting new warm-ups, whatever, just giving coaches support, that's awesome. But like, I don't care. I don't care about the games. Stop. That should not come from cross. Congratulations, let everybody out sub by 5. No, geez, Louise, what are you doing? How does that offer anything to me as an affiliate owner? It doesn't. So when we start thinking about different affiliations as we move into like this new landscape of CrossFit here, potentially with the sell of the company or just moving into 2025 and beyond, is you really have to think about, rather than creating an enemy out of every single thing that pops up, leverage that shit to pull people into your gym. We all know at this point, like Hyrox is just a CrossFit event. It's a CrossFit workout that's done with a ton of other people on a weekend. That's cool. Utilize it. It doesn't need to become the enemy. And like, if you want it to survive, it goes back to that conversation last week where I'm like, we're fighting over the same 70 people in a world of 100,000. Criminy. And yeah, gym bait. Nailed it. Liz, you could keep that that tagline there. That's good. That's real good. Oh, 1,500, even cheaper. Good reference, Tyler. I didn't see Tyler's reference. $1,500, even cheaper. Even cheaper. Heidi, what'd you say? CrossFit HQ needs to battle that image that CrossFit is dangerous. That is the actual value they could give affiliates. 100%. Yes, you're absolutely right. You know what's interesting though is the whole entire CrossFit is dangerous. Originally got pushed, obviously, but you guys know this, by the NSCA, and that was what the whole entire lawsuit was over. And the crazy part is after they sealed that case and settled and signed that NDA, CrossFit can't even point at that as the source of misinformation that came out. Isn't that interesting? But needless to say, I completely agree why Heidi's comment there. All of the objections that are coming need to be turned into pieces of content from HQ, and not one. You have to make 100 of each objection. You have to do it creatively, and you have to do it in multiple different ways. And then find people to partner with that are outside of our sphere that use CrossFit that'll say it for you. SEMA holy balls. What the fuck is that? Wow. I like the other things better. The other icon photo. It's why Walgreens is across from CVS, Shell across from, yes. Correct, SEMA. Like, everybody wonders, why do all these auto body places sit on top of each other? It's because if you pull them all in the same location, you have a much better chance of all of you guys surviving than if I went all the way across town to where nobody else was, and then nobody else comes over there and knows who the hell I am. Right? It's crazy. Brett, what's up, guys? CrossFit Portland has Port Clinton. Wow. That one was bad. CrossFit Port Clinton has been doing that by asking our members if CrossFit is dangerous and then posting to our YouTube. Genius. Love it. And that's something. You're welcome, HQ. That's something that if you kept your ear, like your hand to the pulse of the community and to the affiliates, and it really was like, scouting stuff like that. You see what Brett's doing over at his gym. You hit him up. You're like, hey, what'd you do there real quick? Would you mind if we send somebody down there? Can you explain what you're doing? And then we're going to film them doing it. And then we're going to make that into a piece of content. Are you cool sharing everything you've been doing and how it's worked for the gym? I guarantee you, Brett's like, hell yeah, come on down. We'll knock it out. And then now you're able to take his content, send somebody else out there. I mean, and it would be so easy and it'd be so cheap to do. It's crazy. Why is there abandoned underwear in the showers? These are the questions, randomly, that we need the answers to. Okay? It's like, why is there abandoned underwear in the showers? Why haven't we got the Epstein files? Nobody knows. It's just crazy. Yeah, but we got Jada Coons talking in his Range Rover instead. What do they pay them for? I don't get it. They need Doge. You need a little Doge running through that HQ. Figure it out. They're like, this is the big plan, and it's going to bring in thousands of affiliators, CrossFitters. We're going to bring in 30 million CrossFitters. We don't know how we came across that number or why, but we're going to bring it in. Okay, this is amazing. We're going to dive in. There's two clips from, this is from Pedro's show, Coffee, Pods, and Wads. And you guys should definitely go check this out in its entirety. But there's two pieces here, or three rather, that we'll talk about. And this is going to be CrossFit. This is going to be WFP. By the way, last show when I was joking around saying WFP TQT plus or whatever it was, I was just like rambling and threw that on at the end. Like 2 hours after the show finished, there was a Reddit thread about me. And people were like, what's this sexual slander that's happening now from the Sevon verse? What the hell? Careful, Robbie. I'm going to play a sound effect. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Oh, hey. HR. That's what he's talking about. Okay. Here we go. Got pause watts. I think Pedro's gonna set it up here a little bit, and then we'll let Saxon go. I'm gonna roll it at 1.5 speed, and we're in.
Leaving the competition floor to take over community and then with the launch of the affiliates afterwards, it was just kind of was there conversations that made you think, oh, I can make a difference here that I can't make where I was, or like what sparked the kind of change?
Yeah, I mean, really, we want to be able to, and we support gyms with wherever they are. We do have a lot of gyms that are using the term CrossFit. Like, that's fine. Like, whatever's going to work for them, that's going to work for them. What we want to do is we want to help enhance the member experience inside the gyms and really create more touch points for the members inside the gyms and really hear the voices of gym owners. Obviously we have our first tier built out. That's our community tier through the Rec League, which we'll start to speak a little bit more about after this first tour event. But really, I mean, this can go on top of any gym model. What I support is I support health and I support fitness. And for me, it was stepping into a role here, and I felt like I could really play a part by, getting into gyms more and, where I'm not competing so much on like the actual full season this year, where I can be in the gyms and support them and hear them and have conversations with them. At the end of the day, I want to see people get in the gym, whatever gym that is. I want to see health. I want to see fitness, and I want to see people get better.
Yeah.
What? Did you get what? What just happened? I'm just gonna play the last couple of seconds here so we could really take in the value proposition from the WFP, from the community leader's mouth, and then I'm gonna let Pedro react to it as he did on the show, because I think his answer pretty much summed up my feelings as well too.
This can go on top of any gym model. What I support is I support health and I support fitness. And for me, it was stepping into a role here, and I felt like I could really play a part by, getting into gyms more and, where I'm not competing so much on like the actual full season this year, where I can be in the gyms and support them and hear them and have conversations with them. At the end of the day, I want to see people get in the gym, whatever gym that is. I want to see health. I want to see fitness, and I want to see people get better.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was listening to that the first time, and then I heard Pedro say that, I was like, yeah, that's pretty much all you could say to that. Which yeah, Barry's, thank you, Barry. Barry's highlighting all the main points here. Getting into gyms and having conversations. I'm pretty sure that summed up. Oh, yep, here we go. And Standy, he's gonna circle back to that one. Jason Bourne, word salad. Yeah. Janelle, what's up? What a dork. Here's the thing. I don't fault Saxon at all for any of those answers. That's 100% comes down to the leadership at the WFP. Do not send your people out there like this without having some sort of really good talking points and like some real good value propositions. Otherwise, you're better off just literally saying like, we're really just trying to figure it out right now because we want to come with something super valuable that's going to be innovative for the gyms, and we're not exactly sure what that's going to look like yet. Just say that, because then at least like people are like, okay, well, they're working on something, right? But when you say stuff like, I'm going to use Barry's notes here just so I don't lose the plot. When you say stuff like getting into gyms and having conversations, it literally means nothing. That literally, I don't even understand what that means. Nothing. I don't know what that means. And again, like I'm not like bashing Saxon for this at all. Like, so let's not confuse that. But I am saying like, dude, you guys should not, like, you should have either not had this conversation at all or been far more prepared for it. Barry, notice Will and Jackson said absolutely nothing. One thing that I did notice, and you could tell this on 1.5 speed, especially maybe like 1.25, but in between those two speeds, if you watch this and have it on mute, when Pedro says you did a 180 and then starts to ask him questions, you could, because it's sped up, like you could visibly see how much Saxon is like shifting, and you could see like he starts to neck breathe or like chest breathe. And so those two things tell me right away, like he's uncomfortable. He's a little frustrated, maybe by the 180 comment, or maybe by the fact that like he doesn't have something tangibly there given to him from the WFP. So like he's just like uncomfortable with that question. Matt Burns is Jackson Stone. No, it's just his eyeshadow. Just makes it look that way sometimes. And so, dude, like, so go back for the Hyrox thing, right? So imagine this conversation with somebody from Hyrox, like, hey, well, what's it say? Hey, Souza, will Bryson go live with Brad in 4 minutes? Better fucking not. You know the pecking order, boy. Your show is fucking some other time. I think it's Thursday, though, dude. I think it's Thursday. So yeah, so that's like, that was rough because there was nothing there. And again, going back to Hyrox, it's like, hey, dude, we have the most popular like weekend competition for mass participation all over the world, and that people are getting more and more interested in training for this. And then also, it was Thursday. Cool, right on, Keymaster. And lots of people are training for this. They're looking for places to train for this. For $1,500 for the year, you could throw up a Hyrox thing. It gets you a map on our affiliate. We point people to you when we come to your local area. You get a bunch of cool stuff that tells people about the race before they're there. And then you can help push your members there. Also, too, we give all your members discounts for the race. So you can kind of build up a little program and train people behind it. One, that doesn't sound like I'm competing with CrossFit. That's just a value proposition to bring people in my gym, and they're giving me tools on how I could utilize it. And two, they're staying within their lane and providing exactly what they do. CrossFit, I think Hyrox provides materials to your staff. So like if I have this Hyrox training thing and I have the logo on my door and people are coming in because they're initially excited to gear up for the Hyrox, beautiful. This reminds me exactly of like years back, the 6-week transformation challenge that they used to push all the time with Facebook ads in like 2014 when that was like just a huge hit. And people would show up for like their 6-week transformation. And really you just had this like on-ramp for them to become a CrossFitter and to be a part of the CrossFit gym. And so Barry, this is exactly the point I'm making. It's like when he, which is the question that comes to all of you guys' minds, right? So Barry hears that, and the first thing he's thinking is like, okay, so what tools are they providing? Like, what are they providing outside of conversations with gyms? And that's tough because if you don't have anything there, it's like, ew. Okay, so here's gonna be part 2. Let me make sure I got the right one up. Hold on. Get all crazy on me. So this is just sped up just a couple, a little bit further from where we just were. This is still essentially on the same question. Pedro will cue us up here, and then we'll go into Saxon's response for this second portion. And I can't remember where it lands on this, so I'll provide context if I screwed up my placement.
A kind of not a business plan, but like a plan of what you wanted for the affiliates.
The goal was just to take it slow, talk to gyms. No one's coming on to be a fitness project unless they get to sit on a call, and I get to sit on a call with them and we talk for an hour. You know, some gyms I've talked to them for 2 hours. You know, it's this grassroots style that we're taking of just hearing them, seeing them. That's and wherever we get to with that, and however soon that is, that's just what it's going to be.
Is there going to be like education and stuff, or is it like what are they getting?
Yeah, so right now we're just focused on building the engagement inside the gyms, having those touch points specifically throughout the year through the rec league. So the rec league, which we're
okay, so it's weird how he backed into that, right? Because like he was saying touch points and engagements with Jim, and you're like, what? Barry, you are in rare form today. You might as well just come on and do the show with me. Hearing, seeing, smelling, touching, all the feelings. Yeah, I mean that's like what I got out of it, right? Then he says, oh, we have the rec league. And you're like, wait a minute, what? So first there's nothing, and then it's like you need to have a 2-hour conversation. I mean, maybe that's their application is like a 2-hour conversation with Saxon. Maybe that's gonna be, well, how do you become the Savant podcast affiliate? It's weird. You got to go on a date with Matt. It's kind of strange, and he only goes with dudes. 2-hour long conversation. I think the one thing is cool is that at least they're making an attempt to chat with the community, and that's just me finding a positive here. The rec league piece like really throws me off because that's centering everything around competition, which if you're a CrossFit coach and have been coaching in a gym for a while, like 5+ years, and especially if you're an affiliate owner, yeah, you're going to realize that those competitive people are the worst members to have. The worst members to have. Unless they're competitive and want to spend all the time in the gym and they really invest themselves into the community, want to become a coach or something like that. Like those people are amazing. But if some people are just coming in because I'm just here and I want to be competitive and I want to have a chance at the world, fitness project, whatever, like now your whole entire gym has to kind of cater around that. Okay. And I'm going to make this real simple because somebody's going to say, well, so does Hyrox. No, because with Hyrox, you could have a little bit more running, add a little bit more endurance just on top of your regular CrossFit class. And you're not really making too much adjustments there. Maybe towards the race, you might get more specific with like the burpee broad jump standard and like some sled drag or pull or something that you don't normally have access to. But now if you do that and you're saying, okay, you want to be on a rec league on the World Fitness Project, like all as I imagine is it's 2014 again, and I have 4 or 5 people in here that all think they're going to go to the CrossFit Games and don't want to do the same programming that I'm offering my classes, and they want to work out in the corner and they want to be super loud and they have 7 pieces that they got to get through and they want to come during off hours, and now they've kind of alienated themselves away from my community at total. Like, that's what I hear when I hear competitor. And the reason why I hear that is because I've owned an affiliate for 12 years. I've been through it. I've had to kick them out of my gym. Like, I know how that goes. And if you're really looking at a value proposition for an affiliate between WFP and Hyrox, it's going to be Hyrox, because that's more open to demographics all the way across, right? So you could be older or younger or whatever, and we're all just kind of gearing up to do this one thing on the one weekend. If I'm doing a rec league with something like the World Fitness Project, that has to now change everything around my gym. I got to be able to meet that demand of those people that are expecting that coming into the gym. And I don't know if that's going to do it. I don't know if that's where we're at. Mason Mitchell, I don't think that competitor is as common anymore. Yep. I mean, literally, like, I agree with Mason. I don't think, like, we haven't had a lot of people that have showed up in the last like 4 or 5 years that want to like be competitive, or like showed up because they were inspired by the CrossFit Games. Honestly, I don't think I've had a lot of people that have showed up at my gym like that in the last few years. I almost want to say nobody, but I don't want to say it's 100% because it's probably not true. But yeah, it's yeah. I want to do Outlaw Way as loud as possible during your briefs, okay, or I'll leave. Dude, that's like was like an actual situation. Smoloff Junior squat cycle and my 30 accessories. So, yeah, to Mason's point, not only are to my point first, not only is that not really attracting the right type of customer for most gyms, but then to Mason's point is I don't think there's that many more of that customers out there. I don't think that market is that big. Like, you try to do with local competitions, and I don't see where it's going here. Yeah, we'll bring this back in.
Running, it's going to be a quarterly competition, which we're going to run in the engagement inside the gyms, having those touch points specifically throughout the year through the rec league. So the rec league, which we're running, it's going to be a quarterly competition, which we're going to run and test different types of fitness throughout each one. So that first one will be more of an endurance style one. That second one will be a little more of a strength-based one. You know, in a lot of the gyms that I've talked to, they are offering CrossFit, they're offering Hyrox, they're doing weightlifting, they're doing gymnastics. You know, like, there are so many different types of fitness out there, and the fitness is going to look different for everybody. You know, what's going to get someone in the door, you know, in Brazil is going to look different maybe in Canada or the US. And like, you look at the price points at these gyms, everything's different. You know, it's through this rec league, we want to help continue to build the community that they have, because at the end of the day, I feel like in any gym that you go to, if you have a strong community, you're going to thrive, you're going to do well. And that's what we want to do.
All right. So talking points again there. It didn't really explain much about the rec league except for every quarter. And then it almost sounded kind of like when he was like, we have this endurance one. I'm like, so Hyrox? Yeah. By the way, shout out to Pedro for that interview. That was impressive for you to not have any visual change on your face when you listen to him talk for like 2 minutes. And we both know that he said nothing. So good job on that. Yeah, it's rough. And then also too, we're not going to play. I got one more clip from that and then we'll move on here. But the shit, I just lost my train of thought. The one thing that Pedro asked that I thought was kind of funny, which was tough for him to answer, when he was like, so are there any other gyms that are becoming WFP affiliates that aren't CrossFit gyms? And it was like very similar to the answer you just heard, like, oh yeah, people are like whatever. But I'm gonna tell you right now, no. Because when he was like, oh, people are doing Hyrox, it's like, yep, we discussed that. Lead Magnet suggests it, has had some success with affiliates. If you're getting a demand, like, lean into it, leverage it, use it. But then when he was like, we do weightlifting and some do gymnastics and sometimes they run, and I'm like, again, so just CrossFit. Okay. And that's all it is. Like, you're just going to CrossFit gyms to give them another offering. And again, you got to decide what that is. And I don't personally think it's going to be a rec league that's going to add enough value to sway gyms either way. You'll have a certain percentage that'll do it just because they just want to say F off to the current CrossFit HQ. But outside of that, not much there. Okay, so check out this. Josh, I felt sorry for Saxon. He seems like a good guy, but he was so out of his depth. 100%, Josh. I was saying that earlier too, that like I definitely don't blame Saxon at all with any of this, or like I don't want to like do a pile on him, because I really do feel that it came from the leadership. Like if you're gonna put this guy out there, if you're gonna put Saxon out there as a spokesperson, like arm him with information, like go through it. Kind of like if you're a coach and you have your athlete doing an in-affiliate semifinal, you make sure that they have everything they need to be successful. You watch them do a couple reps, heaven forbid you dress rehearsal, you re-look at it, you review your video, we talk about the value proposition and does it make sense? Like you have to really, really like spend some time there. The other thing is, when it comes to that value proposition, is you have to be honest with yourself. So if I'm in a room with a bunch of people and we're like all sitting on the board of the WFP and I say something like, yeah, I'm just really excited to have conversations with affiliates to get engaged. I think we're going to have lots of touch points with them, which is great. We're really kind of curating this community. And then everybody in the room says like, oh, that's awesome. Congrats. Yeah. Really good to go. This one's for Robbie here. And they start applauding you and you're like, thank you guys. Thank you. And nobody's honest in the room and just raises their hand and is like, I don't know what that means. And how are we going to translate that to the CrossFit community in a sense that gives them trust and says, yeah, wow, I want to get behind this. So yeah, I don't blame Saxon for that at all. In fact, the crazy thing is I could probably sit here, talk with him for a few minutes, and then at least come up with something that would sound a lot better than that without even knowing anything. Is that pretty good, Christian? Sucking myself off. Okay, here we go. This will be the last clip from it. Just to cue this up, I think this is kind of, again, the conversation around differentiators in the gym and the purpose, I think, of the rec league. And I screwed it up.
Able to pick up like 70 members in the first month. And, you know, if you have a passion to change lives, it doesn't have to be complicated. You know, you can start very simple and start to take those steps to do that. We want to be able to tell those stories. Every gym owner has a story. And by us doing this podcast, we want to be able to highlight that. But we also want to highlight the magic that's happening inside their gym, you know, the weight loss journeys, the challenges that people are facing. So I'm running that podcast and being able to really just dive into each of these gyms and highlight them, which we'll be posting on our channels. And then we're going to provide them with the clips to be able to post on theirs. So that's obviously one of the things. And then we have the Rec League and the World Fitness Trials, which we see as a few different things. It's a community engagement thing, community engagement activation, which we're doing with them at
community engagement activation, touch points. Standy, I'm so confused by the WFP affiliate. What do they offer that's different than CrossFit? They don't even offer the same thing as CrossFit. Vindicate, I caught that too. The magic of CrossFit. He said the magic that's happening inside the affiliates. I was like, yeah, that sounds familiar. Tried that. Denise, wasn't Greg the face of CrossFit before it sold? I don't see the face of either CrossFit or WFP or Hyrox. Can these businesses survive without a face to match the business? Personally, I don't think so. I think with a movement like CrossFit is, it's different than other businesses and services and products. So like you definitely have to have a leader. It doesn't need to be one face. I think it could be many, but you have to have personalities. You have to have relationships that we as people, whether I'm a member of a gym, an affiliate owner of a gym, or a coach or whatever, if I'm a part of this community, like I need to have a relationship with these people inside the companies. So the more faceless and nameless it becomes, like Target or Walmart, the more it's seen as a corporate entity. And I think that does a lot of harm to something like CrossFit. It's grassroots. And if you don't have that relationship component of it, where like, I know Seb Amatosi is doing the media. I know Greg's the one who's leading the company. I know the characters inside of CrossFit HQ. We watch them and stuff. Without having that relationship, on multiple relationships with people from the company, I don't see either of them surviving, because it's way more a movement than it is anything else. and you need those relationships to drive a movement. I thought I saw something else on here. What is it? Josh, what's up? Pedro, this might make people actually watch the podcast. Saxon, we don't want that. Oh, shit. Damn, dude. The other thing was they talked about the podcast in here. And they said, you know, hey, we're going to do this and we're going to give them the media to post. Don't give them the media. Cut the clip yourself. Make 3 derivatives from every single CrossFit affiliate piece you do. And then just post it on wherever the WFP thing is and collaborate with those affiliates. And I'm going to give you that one straight from me to you, because in a perfect world, I would have somebody, probably 2 people, sitting on every single show that I ran on the Sevon podcast with the timer, clipping and writing down timestamps, and then building out 2 to 3 clips of every single show that we did. So if you imagine how many shows we did, imagine a multiplier of 3 going across all the platforms. And the only reason that doesn't exist right now is because we just don't have the cash to pay somebody full time to do that. Because as you guys know, the amount of content we put out, it'd be like a 2-person full-time job. But I do agree that would provide some value. Not enough value for you to like affiliate with them. That's enough value for me to like spend an hour and a half on the phone with you. That's not like I'm going to pay you money to do that. That's like, hey, you went on our show and this is just something we do. So I don't view that as a value proposition. And then, all right, we'll go back in a little bit more of this.
There are gyms, or, you know, as I said earlier on the podcast, where we're going to test these different domains of fitness throughout the year, but they're also different checkpoints for their members to come together and celebrate, you know, hey, how far have we come? So we're doing that. And again, for gyms that are offering multiple different programs, how do you hold the integrity of the community, right? Like the fitness industry is always changing. You're going to see some new fitness thing pop up, you know, every so often. You know, how do you allow your gym to be able to adapt to that? So through the Rec League, we're able to do that. We also have a incentive-based share model. So for gyms that are coming on, they're able to be a part of the success with us. And then we have a lot of resources built out and startup kits, specifically just diving into, hey, what is a fitness project? How can I communicate this with my members? And then we're going to continue to add to these resources through, you know, like if a gym ran a campaign that allowed them to be very successful, and, you know, we're seeing that happen with, you know, maybe 10 of our gyms. How do we create a resource to be able to share that across all of our gyms?
Yikes. Okay. I would just like to point out that Will and Jackson have now completely looked as if they're just in the principal's office and everybody's getting in trouble. And Saxon's trying to like explain their way out of the situation. And they both know that the principal isn't buying this shit. So they're just like, damn. That's what their faces remind me of. And having spent some time in school in the principal's office, I can tell you that is relatively accurate. Also, listen to somebody just spin their wheels in the dirt. Yeah, sounds like that's what's happening there as well too. So that's going to be a tough sell, because I think the type of stuff we talked about before with them being like that rec league and trying to attract that competitor is definitely a hard sell. I don't think there's a market for this now like there was 10, 12 years ago. The other thing too is, which is interesting because CrossFit does this as well. I don't get it. They're like, oh, well, if a gym does something that's really successful, what we're going to do is just take their idea and give it to the other gyms. So then what am I paying you for? I don't get that. It was like when Eric Rosa was like, oh, we're going to come up with a affiliate playbook. Bill Henniger, Craig Howard, can you guys help me build this and then give it away to the other gyms? You're like, what? So the value proposition is we do the work, and when it's successful, you just disseminate the information? Okay. So that's going to be troublesome. The other thing too is the it looks like they talked about some sort of rev share. I don't know what that means, but I feel like if there's some, so what is this? The open that I buy into each time if I'm already the whole thing. There's a simple saying that's used, and especially when we're talking about stuff in media launch, as that's growing, and that's like it's becoming a real life fucking company now. It's amazing. But I always go back to like, as I'm trying to determine, okay, how many editors do we need per client? Who's managing this and who's managing that? The second it starts to feel complicated, and I can't just explain it to somebody super easily that doesn't have context, I stop everything and we go, okay, we got to go back to simple. And the phrase I use all the time is relatively common is simple scales, complex fails. So the second it moves into something that's not really easily understood, I start to go, okay, we've moved towards complexity. This will fail. You got to move it back to simplicity. So that way we could scale it. We could grow it. We could disseminate the information. So incentive based, this sounds like an investment scheme. Now, Terry, you got it all wrong. Okay. Once you sign up 3 gyms, yours is basically free. Okay. So how could that be a scheme? Sounds like an opportunity if I've ever smelt one. Just buy 3, get it in. Dill, what's up, Zach? How you doing, dude? It would be a whole different scenario in situation if they never started making affiliates, just rather focusing on giving more competition and financial opportunities to the athletes and kept it at that. Bingo. Yep. And you could probably still sell some of the stuff that they're planning to sell, like the rec league and different things like that, but you make it as like adjacent, not necessarily like, you know, another add-on, another affiliate. It's like there's only this one path, and for some reason everybody just keeps wanting to fall down that one path. Pyramid scheme like Avion and Mary Kay and Herbalife. Oh, thanks for clarifying. Terry's sold. Terry, if you want to sign up under me, you can. And when I win the Hawaiian vacation, we could go together. More like Herbalife. Yeah, exactly. Just buy all the product and then sell it. So yeah, so that's the value proposition with the WFP. If you guys could tease that out of there somehow. I don't know. But here's an issue, and this kind of went unnoticed here a little bit with let me pull back. Okay. So I'm going to bring this up. We talked a little bit about it last time. And to me, if you want to talk about what the actual value proposition would be, is if you look at something like Metfix, at least they have some sort of like education piece, right? So they could point at the education and say, hey, look, over here, we provide you guys with these materials. And then when you have this material, your knowledge will expand. So our hope is that once your knowledge expands, you're able to somehow turn that into value for your member. Okay. So the issue isn't when it comes to Metfix, the issue isn't necessarily a value proposition, because you could see it. You'll go learn something, right? The issue becomes this. And Chris Cooper outlined it beautifully for us. So we're going to play this and just something to think about here. The real Kevin isn't Metfix just CrossFit 2.0. We'll talk about that in a sec. So Chris is going to finish something and then he's going to cue it up. I ran it back a few more seconds, but you guys get the drift. Here we go.
2002 or 2003. And Greg, how much protein do I actually eat? And Greg had him bring in a Tupperware and he just like drew a line with a black tip, marker, eat this much, Greg. And, that's really, I think, his genius. The challenge is going to be, or has been so far, that at least according to our data, that retention for nutrition coaching clients is seldom very good. It's, usually about 3 months you can keep somebody's attention working them through a nutrition plan. And while some gyms do well with nutrition, it's a very tough slog. It's hard to get people to work out, but it's way easier to get somebody to do a workout than to stick to the nutrition program. So how does Metfix address that problem?
Well, I guess I want clarification a little bit on is that problem a financial thing? Like you're charging for a nutrition class or a nutrition consultation and then people drop off after 3 months, or people are dropping off their diet after 3 months?
Yeah, that's a really great question, Emily. So it's yes to both. It's basically, what gym owners were saying is when we teach this as part of the workout, nobody listens because they're not invested. So they don't make changes. They're like, okay, how many thrusters do I do today? When we charge extra for it, their compliance is better. Their adherence is actually better, but not for long. And so after 3 months, maybe it is a financial issue. They're no longer paying for it or whatever, but they tend to drop off. And there's some novelty mixed in there, all that stuff. So I guess kind of like, what is the recipe for getting people to stick with a nutrition plan or to build a habit that lasts?
So from my perspective, I'm really focused on the health outcomes.
Yeah.
So I think I need to like couch this answer in that regard, which is that like hopefully you get somebody who starts doing the diet, starts seeing the results, and they can't shut up about it, and they like are telling all their friends that like they can eat fat again, and this is so cool, and like French cooking, it actually turns out to be really delicious, right? Like all new things.
Okay. So the reason why I wanted to play that clip is because this is going to be part of the issue, is how do you take some of the education and then give that in the terms of an affiliate owner as something valuable. Okay. So this is the complexity of it. I'm going to try to keep it as simple as we can, having just had that conversation. Okay. So I got all this information. I went and did the course. I'm like a freaking PhD in the mechanisms of insulin response. I understand how sugar now affects that insulin response. And once that happens, it starts to kill my immune system. All this gross stuff comes in: inflammation, visceral fats, right? Low energy, not being able to sleep, like all the things, not to mention the chronic health issues that come. Okay. We all know that. We're expertise in that, right? We are the life boats in the sea of tsunami of chronic disease. Okay, great. So once you have that information, how does that translate to a valuable, tangible service or product to the affiliate owner, to where once they receive that information, they're like, got it, I know how to sell it, and I could sell it here. And I could tell you, being involved with MetFix right now, or not right now, but when I was involved with MetFix, number one, their course material is amazing. The information that you're going to get is like second to none. Emily's husband, Bob Kaplan, was the head of research for Peter Attila's book, Outlive, which was like some crazy bestseller. So the information is great. The issue will start to come is like, how do you then take that information and then say, this is why you need to be affiliated with us, because with this, you get this. That's the hard part. Because I can understand being a training certification and selling the course. That's a no-brainer. If you've been in this for a while and you have an opportunity to go take that MetFix course and learn the stuff that they've been putting through that handbook, go do it. Like, there's not going to be an issue with that whatsoever. The problem might come is the same issue that we're seeing a little bit with like the WFP and whatever else these other things all pop up with affiliateships. It's like, well, okay, so what's the value proposition, right? And how does that continue to go ongoing? And when I really focus on health outcomes and I really focus on the nutrition aspect of those things, I need to say, okay, cool. What do I do with that though? And so that's going to be the really tough part. In the statement that Chris made, which is data backed, as he expressed there, is like, hey, we know that the lifetime value of the customer for somebody doing nutrition is about 3 months. So like, how do we, like, what is MetFix kind of doing to make that more important, to have more adherence to it, to be able to retain people for longer? And as Emily was saying, she's like, hey, I got to couch that answer. And I know this just because there's so much between Broken Science and MetFix and getting all that material together that there's no time for them to spend on that. And also too, coming from the background with Greg of never wanting to actually sell you a product, like he's almost allergic to it, that could be a big issue. Because then if they try to make some sort of service product or something behind it, which I don't think they would, but if they tried to, like, you could see where that might come into some sort of conflict there between kind of the philosophy of how Emily and Greg see it, and then maybe what some of the gym owners want, right? There could be an issue of like, okay, how do we take this and then how do we productize it and how do we operationalize it for a gym owner to look at it and say like, damn, that's worth buying. And it's kind of crazy as we go through these, like the three main ones, right? We have Hyrox in the mix, we have WFP in the mix, and now we have MetFix in the mix. Really, if you look at the actual dollar for dollar spending and saying, okay, we could clearly see a path to more revenue, it's Hyrox as a lead magnet. Like if we were to put all three of them together and say, if you only have, I know Ernie said it's $1,500, but let's pretend they're all $2,000, all of it's equal. You have to look at it and then say, okay, which one's going to give me the best bang for my buck? And right now it's going to be a Hyrox lead magnet. So Mason, wait, we aren't on the zone diet, right? So that's another thing too, right? So is this going to become like some sort of protocol of adherence that Metfix will turn that into and then give that to gyms? Is it just going to be free market style where it's just, hey, here's the education and you guys go do what you're going to do with it? Which that's fine too. I think that's fine. At least there's something that they're pointing at where I could go there, I could learn something, I could take that information, and then I could take it back to my gym. The problem is like it's still up to you to put that into play, and it's still up to you to make that, to like operationalize it to make it work. Daniel. You know, drink out of this cup a lot. I appreciate that. It's probably about time you get a wrench, huh? If I give you a wrench, will you forgive me for apparently not shaking your hand? Like 3 years ago. It haunts me. I lay in bed late at night, think about it. Like, damn, let Daniel down. The only Metfix affiliate in Washington State has nothing on their website about Metfix, but they train Hyrox. That's pretty funny. All right, so that gives you the landscape on all the current offerings in this. And this is why it'll always be hard to move away from CrossFit. Because the brand just has so much value to it that just the word in and of itself encompasses everything we do. And believe me, if there is another way to branch off and create a Pepsi to a Coca-Cola and have some sort of affiliateship that actually made sense to our community, I'd be all about it. So I just try to run that shit. Where are we getting current CrossFit affiliate numbers from? Yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't even think HQ knows at this point. I've heard as low as like 8,000. I've heard it hover around 10,000 for a while. I do know that there are certain people that will like literally every 6 months, I think, count all the affiliates that are located on that map on main site. And again, how up to date is that map? We don't know, but at least that kind of gives you the most amount of data. But yeah, hard to tell. Okay, so that's the value proposition. Let's end on. We'll end on this here. FaceTime notification. Who the fuck is FaceTiming me? Oh, before we go into this last section, let's see if we could. I don't know if I could find a proven CrossFit. I don't know if they promoted it or not, or if they're going to. Maybe not. But we'll use this picture for promotion. Okay. All right. So on Friday, this Friday, kind of crazy. This Friday, there will be an affiliate gathering at Proven headquarters in Nashville, Tennessee. And as fate would have it, I will be speaking at that. It's kind of crazy how it came about, but one of our clients for media launch has a hand in setting up kind of this Take It Back tour. It's not really official with CrossFit, but it kind of is official because like CrossFit doesn't pay for it essentially, but they give their kudos to these. And so this is going to be one of like a handful of them that are going to be going down. But I think this one will probably be the most attended. There's like 77 or 75 affiliates that'll be attending in this one. And I'll be talking about media. Representing like media launch has like the quote unquote like the time slot. So it's at 12:30 on Friday. I'm going out there with Jay Vera, who's a partner with me in media launch, and you guys know him. We're gonna probably film the whole talk for sure. So we'll post it up on the channel if we're able to get everything in its entirety. So you guys could criticize me. Standy, I will do my best to not put my hands in my pockets. I will think of you while they are standing in front of me like this. I'll talk like this, open palmed, showing that I'm free and open. So we're going to talk for the hour there. It's going to be a super quick trip. I fly in on Thursday evening. We do the talk, or I do the talk at 12:30 p.m. And then I literally fly out of Nashville at like 6 p.m. or 5. And then I'm just coming right back home. So it'll be fun. I have my whole entire talk kind of outlined. It was really cool how I was able to do it. I actually just mic'd myself. I stood in front of the whiteboard at the gym and just jotted up a couple ideas and then just totally freeballed it into the mic and then took all of that, transcribed it, and then just threw it into an AI to outline it for me. So that way it'll help like keep on track and I'll know the direction. I don't think there's any slides or anything like that. We don't have anything to sell gyms. We used to do a gym product where we would actually do the media marketing, like run the social media accounts, help gyms with like ads and stuff like that. But as we tested that product against working with businesses, the truth be told is that the B2B model was 7 times, and I'm not exaggerating, 7.5 times more lucrative than the gym model. And it was far less resources in terms of the work to deliver on that. So we ended up pivoting for now just to go into direct like B2B. And yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys are probably don't care about the ins and outs of the media company, but there you have it. So we'll be at Proven on Friday. Hopefully get that filmed so you guys could check it out. I'm planning to film everything like on the way out there too. So we could maybe put together a little like, I don't know, vlog style of us going out there. So we'll see how it goes. But if you guys are in the area and you're gonna be around, come by, come say hi. Home of Paper Street Coffee. Damn right. Yep. Jason Bourne. We'll have some holy balls there. Maybe get some high ground beef chips. Is this where Hiller went to? I don't know. I honestly don't know where Hiller went. It's kind of funny because sometimes I'll call him for whatever reason, right? And he'll be like, "Oh, hey, I'm over here. I can't talk right now." And he's like with some athlete or somewhere else. I'm like, "Oh shit, all right. I guess there's gonna be a piece on Hopper coming out soon." So, anyways, thank you guys. Thank you, Judy, for the good luck. I'm excited about the talk. I've prepped for it. I don't really prep for a lot, but I got enough preparation that I feel I should be able to give some real value to the gyms and leave them with something that's actionable. The other thing too is we're giving away the whole entire framework that we did for the gyms. So like we have this whole content strategy and yada, yada, yada. Won't bore you guys with the details, but at the end of it, you'll essentially just be able to go do a QR code and we're just giving it away for free. So the whole entire framework, like if you would really like listen to the talk and you're like, I want to start doing some of that stuff with my gym, or I want to start using those testimonies as digital word of mouth, or like whatever the case may be, like you'll be able to like use the QR code, download all the stuff, and then just go do the thing for free. And that's kind of the hope, is that like, hey, we took like 6 months to figure this out. I've been running it in my gym since August. I've gotten really good results out of it. When we did a lot of the paid advertisement, like 1 month, I increased revenue by $11,000. We spent $2,500 on ad spend and I made like 11 and change back. And it was like a net like $8,000. So I know some of it works. We've tried a lot of it, and be sharing that and then sharing how affiliate owners could do it for free. And then here's what we're going to end on. I made this post. So this dude, Robert, the Third Reich, he's actually a professor at UC Berkeley, and he's like an extremely like liberal, like socialist professor. But it's interesting how these guys and people like them will claim all this like, oh, everybody's so divisive and everything's so negative and it's super dangerous and you're going to lose your democracy and all this other shit. But then, they act and do things the same exact way. It's crazy to me. But anyway, I took this and I said I fixed it for him because we were focused on clarity, not division. So tyrants view free speech and free press as their greatest enemy. Slaveholders stop the enslaved from learning to read. Nazis burned books. Okay, tons of people burn books. It's just funny how they try to like word associate, right? And then I put corporations censor media. He said dictators censor media. No, buddy. The system all works in order for you to have a dictator. So like the people who fund the media companies create the censorship in it. And it's not state funded because we live in America. So what does that mean? It can't be censored by a dictator unless that dictator is heavily involved with Pfizer, and then they give misinformation at the hand of Washington, D.C. Right? So like, don't be stupid. And then I put, that's why the government shouldn't have authority over education, science, museums, and the arts to prevent us from learning. Okay. And then at the end, he put, it's fascism 101. And I said, it's about individual liberties. But it was kind of funny. One of the, thank you, Craig. I like these. Okay, so a couple of the comments on here. Can press be free if it's a private company / platform whose main driver is profit? If your main driver is profit, you are not the press. And this is where that regulation in the free market kind of decides. Because if you have to show all the disclosures of like, hey, 90% of our revenue comes from pharmaceutical companies. Okay, so then everything out of your mouth about a pharmaceutical company is paid for. Got it. So you have to like think about it in that terms. Now, if you're actually the press, can you remain free if your main driver is profit? Well, every business's main driver is profit. Every business's. So it just depends on the information you give and how the people react to it. If I have a business and I'm giving out a bunch of free press and it's all good and there's no bias to it and you're getting informed and you're able to make your own decisions, like that attention enough will bring enough eyeballs to where I don't need to start to sell off my integrity to maintain a profit. So the reason that question was a little off. So I was going to say for this, it just comes down to the owner. But the more this gets tied with corporations and corporate interest, the more that becomes a problem. So you're so then this one here by Coach J New 91. So your point is the current government is anti-individual liberties because they've been bought out by corporations and are censoring free speech and education to avoid people learning the truth. Did that come from job? Did I do a good job emerging what you both said here? No. And I really want to just talk about this comment real quick because I wasn't trying, nobody should merge what Robert and I said. I view it in two ways. And I wanted to make a little like slide for this, right? So if you look at the current system, it used to be that the government is here and the government is supposed to work and function for the people down here. Okay. So here's the government. They're accountable to the people down here. And over time, what happened was it became more about party divides. So Republican versus Democrat. And then they just push that divide via media into the public, whether it's race issues, whether it's whatever sexuality issues, whatever the case may be. And then they just both pick sides. You're on the left or you're on the right. Now, all of a sudden, the people are party dedicated. MAGA, no. Biden, no. Left, right. And what ends up happening is we end up just fighting each other. The left or the right, to Democrat or Republican, my view versus your view. And nobody took a step back and just said, well, wait a minute. Shouldn't it just be about the people versus the government, the people holding the government accountable? And when the government's no longer functioning for the people, what systems do we have in place to pull that back? If you would ask me, like, what's the number one issue that we have in the United States right now? It's the wealth inequality gap. Because once you strip out the middle, what you've done is you've taken away hope that I could succeed and make my way to the top. And once you've lost hope, that's when it turns into a bloody revolution. Because at some point it turns into, fuck it, what does it matter? I can never get ahead. Inflation, taxes, I'm in debt, the cost of all, like, fuck it. I lost my job. There's no money in the system. Once you lose that hope that my labor and my skills could allow me to move up a social ladder in this country, a status ladder, the wealth ladder, and there's nothing between that besides me and my hard work. Once that is gone, once the belief in that is gone, the hope in that is gone, and physically, once it's like no longer tangible, that's when you have some real problems. And when you take into consideration the American dream here, just speaking from an American standpoint, that's where I live. It used to be, you get the girl, you get the white picket fence, you get to own a home. And this is the American dream. That's a far cry away now. Majority of the people in their 30s, 40s, and even below that now are not homeowners. Majority of them, depending on where you live, don't even have an opportunity to get into a home. I mean, they're building houses on top of each other, like literally on top of each other, right next to my gym. and they're going for 1.2 million. You will share a wall with 2 other people. You will have no backyard, and you're going to spend 1.2 million. That's insane. And it's getting worse and worse and worse throughout the whole entire country. And so the purpose of that for the Coach Joel thing, which is like a long-winded answer here, is it's not, you don't need to merge his opinion. You need to get back to the bigger picture and say, who's holding the government and by effect these corporations accountable? Because if you guys want a crazy read, if you guys want, here we go a little off tangent, a few more minutes here. If you guys want, if you guys want a crazy read, I'm listening to this book. But holy crap, listen to this. This will completely, you're just going to be like, holy shit, dude. You're not even.
With his Center for Consumer Freedom. First funded by Philip Morris to fight restrictions on smoking, it branched out into food with funding from Coca-Cola. The word science in the name of these organizations is often a subtle tell. There may even be an informal rule to consider here. The more often and more loudly an organization shouts science, the greater the likelihood that it is actually a front for corporate-funded pseudoscience. So you have Sense About Science, Real Clear Science, and the American Council on Science and Health. It's an interwoven, often overlapping network of deceptively named groups purporting to promote science, but actually established with industry money to do industry's bidding. In the field with his...
And as you go further down the rabbit hole with that book, and you find out that since the 1930s, 1932 to be exact, that Coca-Cola, specifically that company, has dumped tons of money into misdirecting information about food and sugar to essentially just build up all these front companies, these boards, these regulators, these pseudoscience things to just essentially protect their product. And now they've gotten so much capital, so much money, so much influence. They spend millions on lobbying. They have a whole department that just takes tons of money that they dump into this lobbying, so that way they could write, like literally write the policies and then hand them over and be like, here's what we think based off the science. And our government looks at it and goes, yep, good enough for me. By the way, slide that 100 underneath that paperwork when you hand it over. And it'll drive you nuts. And there's a part in here about Greg. I think he's talked about on the shows, but when you listen to that and you see the post that I put up about Coca-Cola's annual marketing budget just for 1 year is $4 billion. And just as a little fun thought experiment with the AI, I ran it against the cost of the city of Livermore. It costs $290.4 million to run the city for a full year to pay for everything. The lights, all the municipal, the firefighters, the cops, the whole cost of the entire city. So that means just off the marketing budget that Coca-Cola has, they could fund Livermore, the city, for 13 years. So taking that into context, to then buying an entity like CrossFit for $200 million doesn't seem that far-fetched, does it? It doesn't seem that far-fetched. And when you go back and you think about Greg's statement that he made at Hillsdale College a couple years back, and he said there were 2 major players in the fitness industry, Coca-Cola and CrossFit. He was 100% correct. 100% correct. Coca-Cola has its hand in everything. So go check out that book, Sweet and Deadly, by Murray Carpenter. It's an easy listen. And that's The View. Daniel Equity, private equity is building entire subdivisions in Vegas to rent out all the houses. Yep, exactly. And you gotta have to understand that it needs to be us holding the government accountable to make any changes. Sounds like a small price to pay to be blessed with Souza as a friendly neighbor. That's true. If you want to come on down and get it. No. It's not super depressing. The future looks bright. Not super depressing. You just need just got to be aware. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a great rest of your day. And as always, be good to each other out there. Saxon, love you, buddy. Wasn't your fault. Peace out, y'all. Bye-bye.